find the picture of Vice President there, Vice President Kashim Shettima. We also find the Governor of Kwara State and incidentally the Chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, that's Abdurrahman Abdurazak, and others during a visit to an IDP camp
in Niger State.
Weekend. We do hope that all of this humanitarian crisis will be dealt with, and then there won't be need for IDP camps eventually. But it is what it is currently, and we just hope that solutions will be provided to all of these issues. Of course, we also told you the other time in the other days that 281 Meduguri custodial inmates have been declared missing. It's flooding. Alright, other news stories here. Tinubu, Kalu, governors, others greet Muslims at Idil Maulud. Adequate security measures in place. That's coming from IGP. You find details on pages 6, 7, and 26 of the New Telegraph newspaper this morning. FBI is saying something here. Trump's golf course incident appears to be assassination attempt. It's on page 6 of the New Telegraph newspaper of this morning. ASU mobilizes support for over 200 victimized members. Says members owed 28-month salaries, 120 sacked unjustly. Details of this and many more you find in the New Telegraph newspaper of this morning.
All right, let's check the Daily Trust. From the Daily Trust, Meduguri flood of 400 million naira budgeted for Allow Dam in 4 years. Dam neglected for years, says Zulu. Its defects discovered 9 years ago, according to report. The defect has been discovered 9 years ago. The defect that led to this catastrophe has been discovered 9 years ago, and no proactive measures, were made. Fear of disease grows as Bono decries harmful practices. Survivors wash, cook with contaminated water, meaning more problems still at hand. But this
honestly speaking, Shadi, I have been trying to refrain from conversations around this matter, but then it's just not possible. Now, what is the issue? If you also look at the way and manner Daily Trust has crafted the headlines, you discover that there are issues, there are serious issues around. So, for instance, dam neglected for years. That's coming from the chief security officer of that state, somebody with adequate intelligence in terms of information, in terms of all of those things.
And also with the power too.
That might not really be open to many other people. Yes. So he knows what he's saying. If he's telling us that this dam has been neglected for years, its defects discovered 9 years ago. Now, I ask you, 9 years, that's a fiscal year cycle. Nine times. Yes. Budget, year in, year out. And you find provisions year in, year out. Because there's no way that kind of a thing will not be.
That 9 years is approximately 3 governors.
So then, you 3 administrations.
Yes. So
perhaps
the governor had 2 terms.
Two terms or something. Okay. So that would be like maybe 2 administrations or 3. Whichever way, there is a neglect somewhere. Unfortunately, it seems that the human life is not that valuable here. That is why you could see this damage of this quantum being handled with the way it is. Now, we are so fond of reacting to issues instead of preparing ahead to prevent issues. Why did we wait 9 years after discovering defect in that particular dam? 9 years, 9 solid years. Now, problem, it reminds me of the story that a particular king in a place, they tell you something's happening in that other place. Problem has gone. They come again and say, another person there is affected, problem has gone. And one day, they now came out, oh king, your child is involved. Problem has come. So at this point, problem has actually come in that area. Now, what is more, Borno is not in isolation in this matter. It is usually and popularly said that water will always find its level. So Borno will be finding a way around its problems. And while finding the way around its problems, the water would leave the place
And
one way or
elsewhere.
the other to go somewhere else. Now, the states around there, they must not sleep. They must also
Especially
be
in
proactive.
the instances of cholera outbreak.
Even
Due to the contaminated water.
I agree with you. NIMET and many other agencies involved in weather forecasting and all of that was also saying yesterday, look, it's not yet Uru. River State is on the red alert now. That there is the possibility of massive flooding also in rivers. What does that tell us? The South should also know that it's not insulated from this problem.
Especially Lagos.
And so what exactly are the ministries of environment doing in all of the states? This is not the time to be involved in some superfluity of nothingness, frivolities, and all of those things. Let us be proactive in finding solutions to issues that could become bigger problems in the near future. I think that's very important at this point in time. Now you find people having to make their meal with contaminated water, and then very soon that will also be leading to another problem in time.
That's just what I wanted to say. When you, that's your analogy of problem has come. Problem has already come in Borno, and yet they are not responding to how to tackle or prevent further problems. For instance, why are the IDPs having to do with contaminated water? I mean, providing them with clean water ought to be the first response, to the situation. I mean, trying to keep them healthy and out of health-related challenges.
While I agree that authorities are doing a lot to also mitigate the problem, the right step is not enough if it is not in the right direction. And so we must understand that this one is donating 500 million, that one is donating 100 million, that one is donating this and that. Those things, very fantastically interesting, but how are we channeling those things to the right place? How are we dealing with the first thing first? The elders will say, when a tree falls on another tree, it's the one on top that we first deal with. So that there must be a way of setting our priorities right in that matter. I think it's very important.
All right, just before we leave the Daily Trust, we've taken that one of Obasanjo Abdusalami Guzo Meet, IBB. All right, and we also have this one of 400 jobs to go as Scotland's only refinery shuts down in 2025. Cholera kills 4, hospitalizes 36 in Adamawa. We've talked about the issue of the dispute between Dangote Petrol and NMTC, and that will be all.
Of course, we've been able to take so many stories this morning, ranging from economy to humanitarian crises to security and many other issues like that. Please do check details of those stories and many more in the dailies we have highlighted today. We'll take our first break. When we return, in the spirit of the celebration of Eid al-Maulud, we'll be looking at the significance of the celebration and lessons that must even transcend beyond the moment. Please stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back.
Leadership is not a package where you take it and say, here it is, I give you the package. Leadership comes from what you do, how you do it, how you live, what have you acquired in terms of your training, your experience, your track record, and all that. And what I'm saying is that the young people must strive. They shouldn't expect it to be a parcel delivered by DHL to them. And they must know that nothing comes just for nothing. You work for it.
Welcome back, everyone. Of course, I did tell you that we'll be focusing on the mood of the moment, especially vis-a-vis the Eid Malud celebration. And I would say congratulations to all Muslim brothers and sisters. And that's why we're devoting the first conversation this morning to that aspect. And we've been joined this morning by an Islamic scholar, Ustaz Olalikon Shadainde. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on the program.
Now, let's start with this. Year in, year out, we celebrate many festivals. One of such is the Eid al-Malu. And when you look at the way and manner Islam is practiced, it's said to be a religion of peace, preaching tolerance, preaching good neighborliness and all of that. Yet we have problems in the world. What exactly is the problem? Let's narrow it to Nigeria. We are a highly religious, secular nation, maybe country. Many people do not like to call it nation. But in the midst of this religious consciousness, we still have diversity and not even diversity, but division, and all of these problems and challenges in our hands. Where is the missing link?
How do you start on this important conversation? But let me start by quoting Mahatma Gandhi. He said, "Religion without morality is a blunder." And that is actually about Nigeria. We are so religious, but we are not God conscious. That is why you will see Muslims getting to a position of authority, behaving like somebody who's not a Muslim. What did I mean? Not following the tenets and dictates or the precepts of that particular religion. You can only see a Christian too. A religion should be a way of life that ramify all our activities. Let me start from politics because that's a very key point. And when we're talking about religion, another problem, two terms have been coined. We have politicization of religion. We have commercialization of religion. You can see that is still all about religion. Let me start from politics now. If a Muslim should get into a position of authority, let me just quote, how will I put it? Let me just cite two stories. They met one of the leaders of the Islam. They met him eating the poor man's food. Let me give how will I put it now, an example of gari and kulikuli. And when he said, "But our president, why are you doing?" He said, "I will not stop eating this particular food until all my citizens have been able to do something better than this. Can that happen in Nigeria? Is that happening in Nigeria? I will not have Muslims as leaders in Nigeria. Another instance, a ruler, Umar ibn Khattab was the name. He will be moving around when everybody is sleeping, not like our own. When siren will blow you off, you can't even make them. He got to a tent. He had some children crying. And he said, oh, you woman, because it is normal. Why you have children, you have women? That please take care of your kids. You know what the woman said? He said, God is going to take account our leader. Because we have nothing to eat. I am cooking stone, thinking, having the hope that by the hope of the food will soon be ready. My kids will sleep off. But I know God is going to take our leader to account. Umar had this and he was shaking. He went home and carried food for them. His PA want to help him. He said, no, because you won't save me with Allah. These are thinking of Muslim leaders. But here in Nigeria too, we have Muslims too, who are in position of authority. As a councillor, chairman, governor, or president, are they following suit?
One is tempted to ask you if you are the only one that's reading these accounts, or if you are the only one that's exposed to these accounts,
Yes.
or if you are the only one, or maybe those in authority and in politics are not aware of what you're talking about.
Yes.
Or they're not just following the examples.
Yes, it's a very good question, but it elicits an emotion in me too, because all of us Muslims have this. But there's a large gap between theory and practice. You might know something, you might not want to practice. The Prophet said, learn what you don't know. Practice that you now know. And preach what you practice. But interestingly, that is the problem. We have people who, yes, when we now come to religious leaders themselves too. How many of us that are heading a mosque are doing the right thing? How many of us are not investing the money? How many of us are using the money for what it has been appropriated for? These are some of the problems, even right from the mosque.
The example you just made of the two religious leaders just brought the scenario of Nigeria, for instance. Our citizens are crying, but the people in government, within them are trying to better their own laws and all that. So how come? Is it that the religious sects to which they belong? Because I was in the forum some time ago, it was during electioneering, and the politician was in the midst of that religious gathering, and everybody was pointing accusing fingers at politicians and all that, and he rose up and he said, see, you people are not doing anything to your people when they are in government. Do you call them back to ask how far they've gone in governance, where you send them and all that? Is it that there is a disconnect between these people and the tenets of the religion, the practice, was
Yes.
their government?
Yes, I won't say disconnect, but the problem is it's not easy speaking truth to power, especially when your hand is being robbed by those in power. Do you understand now? Somebody is going to steal, but I'm collecting from the proceeds too. So I won't be preaching against stealing, my sister, because I'm part of the whole show in the first instance. Interestingly, as leaders, as religious leaders, we are in a position to tell them the truth. But most of us, when we are doing program, we want to invite them as the chairman. They are the one bankrolling our program. They are the one bankrolling the religious organization itself. How do you not tell them the truth? So these are some of the problems. There's some money that should not be coming to the mosque. There's some money that should not be coming to the church, especially from the politician. That these are even the money that we are the one going there to invite those money. And when somebody is making money from a wrong way, and you are using the money, you won't have the moral authority to tell him or her that what you are doing is wrong. So these are some of the problems. And that is where we are now.
So how do we start to correct this wrongs? Because ultimately we need to. The way the country is headed now, it's not on the right path at all. So there is a need for a kind of redirection. So where does it
The
start?
essence of a religion itself is morality. The Prophet said, I have not been raised up except to come and perfect morality. When we're talking about morality, we'll be talking about character. When we're talking about character, there are 6 C's of character. That without that 6 C's, in any religion, we are just wasting our time. In our Lord's Prayer, I've said, their will should be done on earth. The way it is what? It is done in heaven. We needed 60. We need 6 things now. The first one is conscience. An Englishman will say, if somebody is behaving in an evil way, that he has a dead conscience. As leaders, either religious, political leaders, or whatever in position that you are leading, do you have the conscience? Do you have a living conscience? The second one is consideration. What I will not take, I should not give it to others. I like the analogy of my brother when during the news analysis that the problem has not come because it's happening to others. But when it now comes to his own palace, now he knew the problem has come. We should consider others too. what I will not take, I should not give it to others. I didn't want to go to hospital without getting the necessary drugs. Then I should, if I'm in a position to provide that drugs, I must do it. I didn't want my wife to suffer from mortality, either maternal or infant mortality. Then those things I will prevent those things must be put in place, especially when we have money for them. Every year we put money for a particular budget, but interestingly, 75% of that money gets to some other people's pockets. So that is another of our problem. So the next one is what? Confidence. Having the confidence to do the right thing. In Nigeria today, we have a problem. If I miss euphemism of evil. If let me just create a family. If one of our families should become the president and it's not bringing things home, do you think we are going to praise him? And because we don't understand it, that is why we celebrate Igotin with. In the olden days, it is enough to say, don't forget the son of whom you are. But now, gone are those days. So until we come back to that too.
Now, let's come to the significance of festivals in religion. For instance, you find some of these festivals hinged on a particular thing or the other, some on the birth, commemoration of the birth of Muhammad, then some the birth of Jesus, some many other things like that, the sacrifice of obedience, and all of those things. Why is it that we're not having a reflection of those significance on our lives? For instance, when these celebrations come up, from the president to councillor, you find felicitations, congratulatory messages, pieces of advice, and so on and so forth. It's not reflecting on our national life. Why is this so?
It is because our Eid is not beyond celebration. The Eid itself is celebration. In Arabic, when you said Eid, you meant recurring happiness, an happiness that comes every year. But it should be beyond that celebration. We should reflect. Today we are celebrating the birth of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Let me give you one of his credentials. When he became the prophet, Allah asked him to first call his immediate family, his immediate clan. They said he climbed a hill, and they said, if I called you, if I give you this information, the Kavites are coming to fight you from the other end of this hill. What are you going to say? They said, we are going to believe you because he said why? He said because you never lied. I'm a religious leader too. Can my congregation say that of me, that I never lied? Yes. So that's another problem. So when we are celebrating the prophet, we should be celebrating his achievement. We should be reflecting on his life, and we should learn from him. Because as Muslims, Allah commanded us to make him our model. How do you behave as a leader? How do you behave as a husband, as a servant, whatever. But interestingly, we just celebrate by not reflecting on actual personality that we're celebrating. I'm a Muslim, I should be more of Muhammad. A Christian should be more of Jesus. Alayhim salam. In Islam, we say, may the peace of our Lord be on him. So these are issues. So we just celebrate without reflecting on the actual personality we claim to be celebrating.
You are a scholar in the religious arena, and I like to ask, can we say that it's an improvement in religious tolerance, especially interfaith religious tolerance?
Yes, it is better now. It is better now. But I can't say we have gotten it 100%. Yeah. But it is better now. At least we have gotten.
But where exactly are we still failing as a nation in terms of interfaith tolerance and relationship?
Yes, when we're talking about interfaith, I think we should go beyond tolerance. We should understand ourselves. Okay. If a Christian says Jesus is the Son of God, as a Muslim, I should understand where he's coming from. If I'm a Muslim, I believe Jesus is no more than a servant of God. A Christian should understand where I'm coming from. That I believe that is better than just tolerating. When you are tolerating, you are only managing, you are only coping. And coping, at the times there's elastic, you might get the pressure. Yes, there might be pressure, there might be tension.
So understanding is better than tolerance in terms of religious
interfaith. But interestingly, why do we have this divide? It is our politicians. Anytime they want to use us against ourselves, that's when they bring religious into politics.
Is it also a failure of leadership? If, for instance, you did mention that you are also a religious leader, and when we look at that, how well are we preaching understanding, not tolerance anymore, as you did say, so that we're not tools in the hands of, I don't want to use strong words, politicians who mean no well for the people. How well are religious leaders enlightening their followers in this regard?
I think we should start from the pulpit. pulpit. We have the right to preach from our pulpit. But interestingly, what do we preach from the pulpit? That's another problem. Today, as a religious leader, I'm not doing it to serve Allah now. I'm doing it to enrich myself. And we are going to do, when you overblow materialism, then that is what we are preaching, either in the church or in the mosque. We are not preaching the right tenets of that religion. Because our problem is now, do as I say, but not as what? Not as I do. So most of us are not that example that should be. So that is the problem.
So do you used to see religion in Nigeria as a tool, a very verifiable tool, to cause a kind of social change that we translate to the nation's development?
Theoretically, that is the ideal. That is the ideal. Religion should be a tool to change our system, to change our mentality, to change our mindset. If I want to do something evil, as somebody said, I beg in the name of God, if I'm God conscious, that should be enough, an antidote for me to stop that evil. But interestingly, how many of us have gotten to that level? If how many religious leaders are not perpetrating evil via that their religion, via that their religious platform? So this is the problem. Until we understand that what we need in Nigeria is not only religiosity, it is not only religiousness, but God consciousness, behaving that whatever you are doing or believing that whatever you are doing, God is looking at you. Because if you can't see God, God is definitely looking at you. And the day is coming that I'm going to leave this world. So what did I want to gain? Where did I want to go? That's why I used to call a Christian gospel singer. He sang a song and he had us a question that, my friend, why are you going after this world? So it's a question as a religious leader, as a political leader, we should ask ourselves too. After this world, where am I going? And there are just two places. Somebody said, if you don't know where you are going, anyone will take you there. We have paradise, we have hellfire. Where do we want to go?
Well, now let's go to some other deeper issues. Where we are today as a nation because of many of these issues we've been highlighting. But taking a look at the current hike in petrol price in Nigeria and the untold hardship, thanks to the fuel price hike, how do we get out of the woods?
Somebody wrote a book, a political scholar. He said, who is fooling who? When it comes to the issue of petrol, who is fooling who? There have been counter claims and claims here and there. What do we want to believe? But I just felt as a leader, we must believe that before. Okay, let me talk about my own religion now. Our previous pastor have said that on the day of judgment, no leader is going to leave the front of Allah until he is able to defend how he has, how will I put it now, he has led when he was in this world. So what do you want us to believe? What do you want us to believe? Once we are on here, there are little to things that we can say because of what? Because of the ethics. Because of the ethics.
Yes.
But you can see. So, but let me just say, who is fooling who? Because we don't even know what to believe or who to believe now.
Talking about that, there be instances where some Nigerians, it's funny, but then if you look at it in some ways, they say it's because we've embraced two foreign religions in Nigeria, and that's the Christianity and Islamic religion, and that's it is true that most of our government officials are sworn in and all that when it comes to time for the change of power. But if perhaps we're still traditionalist, as it were, do you think anybody will swear by any African god and would dare to do something different?
Thank you very much. On a lighter mood, it would have been funny if they are doing that. But I want to put it too, that then when they are using traditional religion, we still have people like Bashanga, we still have so many Alaafins that still behave the way we expected our Alaafin to behave. So our problem is still of that of mindset. Because the truth is, if I swear by the Quran and I don't do the right thing, if I swear by the Bible and I don't do the right thing, God does not come that day. But that does not mean I'm not going to be punished. But I think where we miss it is even parenting. Yes, parenting. If we have been training our kids to be the right kind of a person right from the beginning, they might not be in this way. We started by going to church right from our young. We started by going to the mouth. But what are those things that we are learning? What are those things that you are learning from the family? The institutions have failed us in Nigeria. Let me start from the family too. On a lighter mode again, At a landlord association meeting, they said, we are going to send you and your kids away from this community because they are rogues. The man said, I can swear by anything. My kids are not rogues, they are young guys. That I can swear, bring anything, I can swear that they are not thieves, they are not rogues, but they are Yahoo. Meaning, interestingly, all of us have come to term that Yahoo is good. So, as a Muslim, I can take Zakah or Sadaqah from a Yahoo guy. Its tithe can be collected. Is that what I'm saying? So you can say, family has failed us. Our education institution too has failed us. Interesting, religious institution too has failed us. Look at social media. Look at the secrets of supposed religious leader who is being exposed. And interestingly, but I'm not baffled. The Bible says, by their fruits we shall know them. So, see, this is the problem. If we have problem with our family has failed. Education institution has failed. The last common entrance, you see parents, okay, don't let us go to that. Common entrance. Somebody want to do primary 6.
To Jesus' way. Then we have an exam practice.
Then we have the religious too. I want to use 4 cars at the same time without having the means to maintain a single of those cars. I want to go and do lecture. As I'm coming to Osrc now, I want to come with siren. Is that part of religion? We know the only donkey Jesus rode was what? Was go and get from him when we were fishing. But these are people that we should emulate. These are people who are not emulating. So that's our problem.
Now, beyond the reorientation, you've talked about the failure of the basic systems that should really be the foundation of societal development. I'd like to know, in the midst of all of this, is there any hope in sight? If there are beacons of hope, if there are rays of hope, how do we get to see that light? Perhaps to say it's at the end of the tunnel. How do we get to the end of the tunnel to see the light?
We should go back to where we should be before. When we're talking about religion is beyond just today. Religion is becoming a debauch, a means of socialization. No, religion is more than that. Religion is the religion that doesn't give you morality. There's something that doesn't exude morality. It is not a religion. Look, let me give a scenario from a religion too. The prophet said this faith that we're talking about is divided into 7 to 71 branches. One of them to believe there is no God except God, and that Muhammad is the apostle of God. And the list is to see something that can affect any other person on the road, like a thorn, a nail, moving it away. See the way the prophet has translated something that should be in your mind to action. So this is the same thing that we should see. If I claim to be religious, then I must be God conscious. Then I must believe in morality. I must not take bribe. I must not give bribe. If I'm in a position of authority, I must not misappropriate, nor must I embezzle it. Then I must give to others what should be given to them. And I must believe, okay, let me start another story. Umar again, one of his kids is playing football, and his thruster, how would I put it now, top. He said, my daddy, I want to answer, I didn't have a dime with me now. I said, you are the leader. Go to the exchequer now. Go and get money. And when they get there, the man said, do you know? He said, yes, you are our leader. How much is my fee? He said, so a month. How many weeks it remains for me to get my? He said, just a week, 7 days. He said, please, can you do me a favor? Give me my stipend as a sort of salary advance for me to sort my family issue. He said, we thought you are God conscious. What gave you the audacity to think you are going to live till tomorrow? That you are going to borrow for 7 days. I'm sorry, sir, until your salary is due. Tell me that can happen in Nigeria. At least we have Muslims in position of authority. So these are some of the problems. We believe in theory, we go to church, we go to mosque to celebrate, just to show, not that we are imbibing or inculcating the precepts of that particular religion. So just a bit of socialization, that by the time I have something, so that my people can vote for me. Yes, so that if I want to do ceremony, I can have a place to go. So that if I die, they can. So that is our thinking. We are not worshiping God because we want to make heaven, unless we are thinking there is a way we can bribe God, and I'm not too sure there is a way.
Well, so many posters you've put up, so many pieces of advice. But let's come back to where we started from. As devout Muslims, brothers and sisters who celebrate Eid Maulud today, what's the most important admonition to Muslims all over the world, especially in Nigeria, at a time like this? If society will be better, What's your admonition to Muslim brothers and sisters?
I'm going to cite what Allah has given us an admonition and an advice. The Prophet Allah made us to understand in a verse of his that anybody who wants to make heaven must live like Muhammad, must make Muhammad in his model. Who is Muhammad? Somebody who both his enemy and friend claimed he never lied. Somebody who loved his people than he loved himself. So these are some of the advice. So let us take Prophet Muhammad as our model. As husband, behave like Muhammad. As a son, behave like Muhammad. As a teacher, behave like Muhammad. As a leader, behave like Muhammad. As anything, behave like Muhammad. That is my advice today. Thank you very much.
Well, as we place a wrap on this conversation, I'd like to know if there are punishments for those who know the good thing to do, but they fail to do it. Let me, you've been citing instances from your perspective. Let me give you an instance here. It said that to whom knows to do good and does it not, to him it's a sin. So if it's a sin in that respect, in your own perspective, do you think there are punishments for those who do not do the right thing?
Yes.
Despite knowing that it is the right thing to do?
Yes. I can start some instances, but one just came to my brother said, some people will be raised up and they will be cutting their terms by themselves. When the people will not ask, who are these people? They say, these are the people who are telling others to do good and they are not doing it. In another one, some people will be in hellfire. The smell that will come from their body will be so odorous that the other angels will be, who are this group of people? And the angels will tell them, these are the people who know what is right and they are not doing it.
All right, from the analysis you made earlier about the leader of faith, going to say, I want to take a salary advance, and the person's charge said, you have to wait because how are you sure you're going to live to 7 days? And that brings, I want to see that person in form of a civil servant, for instance, because it's usually said that politicians cannot get to embezzle money without the aiding and abetting of civil servants. But do you see, can you picture a civil servant in the current Nigeria refuse somebody in authority that kind of bidding? Okay, for instance, salary advance is acceptable now, but I'm talking about some codes that are, some requests that are against the codes of ethics.
Yes, it's because we don't have a working system. In Nigeria, that might sound impossible. Because unless I want to lose my job or lose my life. And that is why I think what should be working towards is having a functional system, having a functional governance or political system in Nigeria, that things will work the way it should work. Even when it comes to judiciary, do you think so many judges can stand up to politicians? So these are some of the problems. It is because we don't have a system in Nigeria, but we have powerful people, mighty people, who are even mightier than the old system. So until we start by creating a working system that will not throw up the worst of us as our leaders.
How do we get to do that? To throw up the best of us, for instance?
Then it's going to start from me and you. When the election comes, I must not be interested in collecting 10,000 naira, even if I'm hungry. You know what they used to do? They will make us to be very hungry, that by the time they give you a couple, you will be able to say no. But I won't say because I am hungry, I should be going to pick food from the refuse dump. I won't say because I am thirsty, I will be drinking from the drainage channel, what they call gutter in the normal English. Yes, so I won't say because I am hungry, I should sell the destiny of myself, my children, for 4 years with 10,000 naira. How was Jesus sold by Judas Iscariot? So these are things that we should start from us. Let us suffer to get it right. Let us endure to enjoy Nigeria as a country or as a nation. But we are not ready to endure because of immediate gratification. That is where we are going to where we shouldn't.
Talking about endurance, does that mean the current administration ably led by Alhaji, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he says we should keep enduring? Are we on the right path? Are we moving? Do you see his policies, of moving us out of this painful endurance, so to speak, soon?
Yes, I'm not a politician. I'm not an economist. But most of these policies, if it should be sincerely adhered to, that's the problem in Nigeria. We are good when it comes to pen and paper, but actualizing those policies might be the issue. Look at our ministers. Between me and you, how many of them are really performing? How many of them really know what they are there to do? How many are there? How many of them are qualified to be there if you have the right system? That is the problem. So if we will endure and the policy will come to fruition, but are we sure they are going to walk their talk? That is the problem.
Mr. Sonali considering here, of course, we've been looking at critical issues having to do with advancement of society. I thank you so much for coming on AM today, and I wish you happy Eid Malud. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Everyone, we thank you so much for being part of the Outlook this morning. To all our Muslim brothers and sisters, happy Eid Malud. May the Almighty Allah preserve us to witness many more on earth. Thank you so much, everyone, for being part of the Outlook. For my colleague,
Yes, religion is not actually our problem in this country. It is our level of morality. So please add some level of morality to your religion and you'll be a fine person. My name is Olashade.
The program returns Wednesday morning, God willing. I am Sunday Kolawole. Please enjoy the rest of the day. Good morning.